Hi pen friends, this is Sarah.
And Eva, as always,
And
because since the quarantine I'm always here.
Yes. Today we got a letter that we wanted to share with you. It was asking for some advice. So it says, Dear Eve and Sarah, I've been having
some problems with my fountain pens and inks that I was hoping you could help me with. Thanks for any help you can give. Long time, long-eared listener, Col-o-ring.
Okay. So the first problem is whenever I try to highlight something I've written with a fountain pen, it smears. So yeah, I can understand that happening. A lot of fountain pen inks are not waterproof. I know, I'll find out your advice. But so a lot of inks are not waterproof. And so if you try to use a highlighter that has liquid ink, then that will usually smear your writing with fountain pen. Do you have any advice for Col-o-ring?
Well, we have a Sharpie Gel Highlighter.
Yep, and so that doesn't use liquid ink. It's a gel.
No, it's a gel.
Yeah, it's a dry
so
gel.
Can I write on this paper?
So
it's a gel.
Gel.
Can I write something?
Well, I already wrote this. This is what it looks like when you highlight with it. So it's really bright. And it works really well with fountain pens. Problem 2. My platinum carbon desk pen is too long for my pen case. Also, I don't care for the gold trim. Do you have any advice?
I have some sharp scissors, and they're like really strong scissors.
We have these Fiskars titanium nitride ones. They are excellent. I recommend them for everything.
Yeah,
so they're really strong. You can cut everything with them.
I recommend the bigger scissors.
So we just cut the end off of the platinum desk pen. It's a fairly thin pen right at the end, and you know, they probably made it long for a reason. It's probably easier to control that way. But if you want to keep it in a box that is short with your other pens, then you could just cut the end right off.
And also, if you don't care for like the gold trim or, well, really any details that are on here, you could just take the actual background color and take actually that nail polish and just put it on.
So if you don't have any black nail polish, now's the time to get some. I covered up this gold trim ring. I just found it to be distracting and not going with my other pens.
Yeah,
and
also they are also good for your nails because I love using my black nail polish.
Problem 3. When I write lists, I like to have the heading written in bold and the rest written in a fine line, but I don't like having to switch pens to do this. Do you have any suggestions, Eve?
I suggest this pen.
This is the Pilot Parallel, and ours is a 1.5 millimeter.
1.5. See this? So you can make it thin or thick lines.
So since the Pilot Parallel can make thick or thin lines, you can use the thick side to write headings, and then use the edge of the nib to write things under the heading that you don't want to be as bold.
This is it. My pen friend.
Yep, so you can write thick and you can write thin with the same pen.
Yeah.
Problem 4.
And also, when we got, I think, Pickwick Turtle's letter with like the inks in the pen, that pen is also good for this. Alright,
problem 4. I like how you made dividers out of cardboard for your ink sample box, but I can't figure out how you did it. Col-o-ring's talking about this box. We made cardboard dividers so that all of our ink sample vials fit in this box that didn't used to have dividers. And the way that we did it is you measure the length and the width of your box, and you can make the height of the dividers as long as they fit in the box. You can make them lower than the top of the box if you want to.
Just if you want to.
So then you cut rectangles of cardboard,
but not too low that it doesn't actually work.
So I'm going to show you with this box if I wanted to make dividers for this box. So then you cut rectangles of cardboard out, and then you draw a line that is about 1/8 of an inch lower than the midline of your rectangle.
Yep.
Then, depending on how many dividers you're going to want, you cut the number of slits that you're going to need for the cross pieces to fit into, and cut the slits wide enough to have the cardboard slip into them. So just, do 2 clips right next close to each other. And then you just...
Can I slide them in?
Sure.
Oh, no. So this is how you do it. You just slide the cuts into one another.
So your pieces of cardboard will interlock.
And if you do this exact amount, it'll make a little hashtag.
Yep.
You get a little hashtag.
So then you just put it right into your box. And
then you have separated it.
Okay.
And see? So now we can put anything you want in. Just put all this in.
Okay. All right, let's move on to our next question.
There you go. It is.
All right.
How to read it.
Problem 5.
I can't keep track of what inks I own and which pens I'm using them in.
All right, so recently I found a great website for keeping track of your inks. It's free to use. It's called fountainpencompanion.com.
And this is like an ad, but...
And it's really easy to put all your inks into the database because
it's really
once
easy.
you start typing them, it fills in what it thinks you mean. And because it's meant for inks, it
and you can make
a lot of inks.
Your own private comments on them.
Yes, you can make comments that are that other people can see. You can also make private comments, and this is a great place to put in what pen you're using that ink with, so that you don't forget what ink is in your pen.
Yeah.
Problem 6. I want to keep my bullet journal and to-do lists bound together, but I want to get rid of pages neatly and rearrange pages.
And
do you have any advice?
If you're a young pen friend like me, you may use like 3-ring binders for like your schoolwork. So you can also use them to write in.
Yes.
And my mom actually has a 6-ring.
This is what I use for my bullet journal and daily to-do lists. It's a really beautiful hand, like stamped leather binder, and it's small, easy to take around with me, and it has rings inside. So you can open up the rings
click of
and
one button,
rearrange your pages, take out ones that you don't need anymore. And you can use whatever paper you want to in this. So what
you could use like a hole puncher to make holes.
So I use the premium 32-pound HP printer paper, and it works great with fountain pens. And then I just cut it to the right size with a paper cutter, and then I use a Rapesco adjustable diary punch to punch the holes for that. And because this punch is adjustable, I also have a smaller 3-ring binder that I can also punch holes for with this.
And also you can
change
your
the
school binder
placement of the holes with
and
this
you can
punch.
also use your school binder for this.
All right, problem 7.
I wanna
Okay.
bottles of ink that are either too dark or too vibrant for my liking.
Okay, do you have any advice?
To use distilled water with your ink.
So you can get some really nice colors by diluting your ink with some distilled water, but I suggest only trying a small amount, like using one of those sample vials to do that, because you don't want to ruin a whole bottle of ink. But it can make some nice less vibrant colors or less dark colors by just adding some distilled water. So you might have noticed that Eve is not with me now. She got tired because we had a lot of technical difficulties with this video. So I'm going to quickly go through the last problems that I wanted to give advice on. Problem 8. I want to floss my pen's tines, but I don't want to buy flossing sheets. So what you can do is, a lot of times, like games or DVDs or CDs will come with a little security strip here. And you can just peel that off. And inside there is a metal strip. So if you get that out, it works really well for flossing the tines of your nib. So you just have to cut that security sticker off and then pull out this metal sheet. And I find that flossing tines is a lot easier if your nib has a breather hole. You just stick the piece of metal in that breather hole like that, and then bring it through, and that will get rid of any paper fibers that have gotten stuck in your nib that are causing the ink not to be able to get through, or any clogged ink, dried up ink. So this really helps to floss your tines every once in a while. Problem 9. My pen's converter is rattling against the barrel. So I have a few pens that have this problem, and it's not just cheap pens that have this problem. This pen had a lot of rattling of the converter knocking against the sides of the pen and the blind cap, and I just stuck a piece of tissue or cotton in there and in that blind cap, and then that keeps it from rattling. And with this pen, it has a traditional cartridge converter, and it would knock against the sides, and I just wrapped it with a bit of tissue and wrapped that with tape, and now it doesn't rattle anymore. Problem 10. This is the last one. I want to buy some ink swatching cards, but they're more expensive than I would like. So the solution from this I learned from Mary Hodges, and it is that you can buy cheaper watercolor paper and cut them yourself and make your own ink swatching cards. So the most popular ink swatching cards right now, I think, are the Col-o-ring cards, and you can buy those on jet pens for $10 for 100 cards, and so that makes them 10 cents per card. You have to, if you purchase $35 worth of items from jet pens, you get free shipping. So I suggest that. I'm not going to compare the shipping costs, but if you buy Richeson bulk watercolor paper in the postcard size, which is 4 inches by 6 inches, from dickblick.com, you can just cut them in 3 parts that are the same size as the Col-o-ring cards, and that comes out to 4 cents per card. So you save 6 cents per card. And also the Richeson watercolor paper is 135 pound weight, whereas the Col-o-ring cards are 100 pound weight, so the Richeson paper is a little bit thicker, which might be nice. And Dick Blick has free shipping on purchases of $45 or more. So, you know, if you're going to be placing an order with Dick Blick, buying some art supplies, then throwing in that watercolor paper might be a good idea if you want to make some ink swatching cards from them. But I also compared the cost of making ink swatching cards from Arches hot press paper, which is what I use for my artwork, and that does not turn out to be cheaper. So you want to use kind of cheaper watercolor paper, because doing it with the expensive watercolor paper does not turn out to be cost efficient. So those were all of the problems that our friend, our longtime, long-eared listener, Col-o-ring sent in to us. And I hope you enjoyed these little tips. We have been having a lot of trouble, technical difficulties, so I might not be able to make a video a week as I have in the past, but hopefully I can get back to it. It's just really difficult during the quarantine to find time to deal with technical difficulties. But if you do like the videos, please leave a comment for me, because that really helps me to get motivated to make the videos. Alright, thanks pen friends. Bye!